Kids, I'm sorry for this video. I know summer just started. I know the last thing any of you guys would want to think about is school. But for parents, now's a perfect opportunity for you to move into a district that is better suited for you, your kids, and their education. What's going on, everybody? Reno Reed of the Reed Team of Chartwell Realty in beautiful Kansas City. And the Metro has plenty of quality schools between private schools and public schools. So today, I just want to take a minute, break down the top 5 public schooling options, districts in the metro area. So let's get started. Now, full disclosure, I did not come up with this list on my own. All of this is from niche.com, where they rate the schools, the districts, on a number of different attributes: quality of teachers, college preparedness, things like that. Number 5 is the biggest on this list: Olathe Schools, with over 30,000 students and 51 schools. It's a really big district. Despite the size, the student to teacher ratio is well above the national average, having 14 students for every teacher. The national average is 17 to 1. Their schools, elementary through high school, are consistently between B minuses and A's, although there is one single C plus school, which is Westview Elementary. Now, looking past high school, in terms of college preparedness, the average ACT was a 27, and they have an average graduation rate of 94%, which is very, very good, especially for 30,000 kids. So if you pull it back a little bit from the metro, Olathe is the 4th best district in the state of Kansas. It's also the 6th best district in the state of Kansas for athletes. So if you're looking into track, any sort of sport, soccer, football, Olathe is a good opportunity for you. Now, from a real estate standpoint, Olathe is a relatively large community. It's got a ton of malls. It's got so much to offer. In terms of real estate, a lot of it is going to be suburban. A lot of it is going to be, houses, suburbs. But some of the outskirts, you can find a couple bit of rural properties as well. Number 4 is actually the second highest rated school district in the state of Kansas, and that is DeSoto Unified School District. Now, DeSoto is a relatively rural community, but it does extend into some areas of Olathe and Shawnee Mission. In terms of how many schools they have 12 schools between elementary and high school. Now, always thinking forward thinking for our kids. They do have a graduation rate, which is the highest on this list, of 98%, with an average ACT of 26. So very, very strong there. In terms of the real estate, like I said, it does flow a little bit into Shawnee Mission, into Olathe. And so you do have a lot of areas that are particularly suburbs, but especially as you move out west, there is a lot more opportunities for some rural land. So if you like having your space, you don't want to have a neighbor within, a country mile, you have that opportunity in DeSoto. Now, number 3 is going to surprise me. This is my alma mater. I'm surprised it's so low, but that's Lee Summit School District. Now, there's over 27 schools in Lee Summit, all of which, except for 3, are either A minus to A, with 3 of them being B pluses, and those are all in the elementary schools. The district has the 3rd best teachers in the entire state of Missouri, and it's the 6th best place to teach according to Niche. The district average graduation rate is 97%, and the average ACT being 26. So that ACT right up there with the rest, that 97%, just a tad lower than DeSoto. Stellar academics is not where Lee Summit necessarily is at its best. It has a ton of opportunities for clubs, extracurriculars, athletics, especially in a world where that type of extracurricular activity is becoming so crucially important when it comes to college recruitment and college acceptance. This is a very, very big perk to the Lee Summit School District. Now, life outside of school, Lee Summit has a couple outdoor malls. It's got one of the more surprisingly vibrant downtown scenes in the metro, outside of Kansas City, of course. And it has a bunch of lakes that you can go out and boat and fish and things of that nature. It's got a ton to offer. Again, a majority of it's going to be your more suburban, residential neighborhoods, but there are some areas that aren't quite as developed where you can get a little bit more land. It is also worth mentioning for people who have jobs in Kansas City, say you're a firefighter, we have to live in the actual city of Kansas City. The Lee Summit School District does go into some areas of Kansas City. So those are always options for those people who need to have a Kansas City address for work, but also want to get their kids a better school district experience. Number 2 on this list is very close to Lee's Summit as well. It's a neighboring city of Blue Springs. Blue Springs has 22 different schools, and they all rank extremely well. If you look at the scorecard, Blue Springs said, Lee's Summit, anything you do, we can do better. Just about across the board, everything is just a step up, from a minus to a flat, from a flat to a plus, with very little exceptions. Not a single one of their schools was rated lower than an A, which is extremely good. But on the subject of education, the graduation rate in Blue Springs is 95%, so it is a tad bit lower. But the ACT average is a 26, which is comparable to, again, all the other districts on here as well. Now, Blue Springs does have the worst student to teacher ratio on this list of 16-1. Now, again, 17-1 is the national average, so it does still beat that. But the quality of the education, everything that you see on this list in terms of, again, quality, the teachers are amazing. It's one of the best places to teach as well. So it's a very good experience still, despite having that higher number. There's plenty of life outside of the Blue Springs schools in terms of what you can actually do. But like everything else on this list, you're looking primarily at suburbs, at residential neighborhoods, with a little bit of sprinkle as you move farther and farther towards the east or towards the outskirts, where you do have a couple opportunities for some more rural properties. Now, number 1, anyone who's really familiar with Kansas City and Kansas City schools in particular, this should be no surprise. It's, of course, Blue Valley, which is the highest ranked both in the metro and in the entire state of Kansas as well. Best teachers, best places to teach. Despite having a relatively large 35 schools, there's nothing really that Blue Valley does incorrectly. They have 15 of their elementary schools getting A pluses, but all of them are a minimum of A. And all of their middle schools and high schools get A pluses as well. Now, whatever you're looking for, Blue Valley has it. You want high quality teachers, they got it. You want college preparedness, they got it. Athletics, clubs, they got it. Everything that they do extremely, extremely well. And Blue Valley is someplace that prides themselves on what they provide for their kids. Looking at the scorecard, Blue Valley is the only one that has an A plus in college preparedness. So if we're talking about the graduation rate, it's about a 96%. The ACT is a 29, so that's 2 points higher than the second place ACT score on this list. That 2 points is a huge margin. With 29 average, that is very strong, especially if you're looking to get into some more competitive schools. Now, outside of school, Overland Park has a ton. It's got a ton of businesses. It's got malls. It's got just about everything that you could look for in a residential area. Now, it's going to be almost entirely almost entirely suburban, with on the south side you might be able to find a rural property or two, just because the district does go so far south. But again, it's mostly going to be what you think of when you think of Overland Park, where it's suburbia at its finest. Now, quality education is really important for just about everybody who has kids at least. And so these districts do find themselves, real estate-wise, in a higher demand than some of the surrounding areas. But real estate is limited. We do have a limited amount of space, a limited amount of houses that you can build. And so that static supply with the increased demand, because people are wanting to move into these areas, does drive prices up a little bit. Now, the way that we fund our schools in America is based primarily off of property taxes. So it's kind of a cycle. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The schools are good, so people want to move in, so the property values go up. So they have higher taxes because the property values are higher. So the schools get more funding. And then it kind of repeats and repeats, and it compounds on itself. So this is something that you do pay for having good schools, but just because they're not in the top 5 doesn't mean that there's not plenty of schools out there that are perfect and really good for your kids to give them a leg up on life. So if any of these surprised you, let me know, whether they're too high, too low, they were snubbed from the top 5. If you're looking to buy or sell a house, if you're looking to move into one of these areas, I would absolutely love to help you facilitate that and put you and your family in a position that is perfect for you. But until then, see you guys next time.